Welcome to another episode of College Admission TV. Dr. J.P. Novin talks with Dr. Amy Bragg Carey, president of Friends University, about the ongoing challenges of integrating AI into the curriculum, addressing ethical and security concerns, and preparing for AI's impact on various industries and the broader workforce.
Well, welcome to the third season of our presidential podcast, the show where we explore the bold ideas of how transformative leaders shape future of learning. For this season, we're focused on AI education and the future of workforce. I'd like to thank our sponsor, DrakeAdmit.com, that's helping students to apply to universities of confidence. I'm also excited to announce that not only can you listen to this podcast on Spotify, but some of our podcasts are also being featured on College Admission TV, so you could actually watch the interview as well. I'm your host, JP Novin, and today I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Amy Bragg Carey, the 14th president of Friends University. Welcome, President Carey.
Thank you so much. Glad to join you today.
Well, you've been at the helm for 10 years. First of all, you got to tell us what your secret is, but you definitely have guided Friends University through extraordinary turnaround, strengthening its academic mission, expanding opportunities for students, and have had a tremendous impact on Wichita and the surrounding, city and towns to be. But let's start with you, your background. How did you end up at this role? And also tell us a little bit about Friends University so our audience could get more familiar with you and the university.
Yes, I am starting my 11th year, so completed 10 years at Friends University. And I didn't know much about Wichita, Friends University, or Kansas when my boss, who is the president of the University of Northwestern St. Paul in Minnesota, put my name in to be a candidate for president at Friends University. And he swears he wasn't trying to get rid of me, but he was and is still a mentor to me and encouraging me to look at a president opportunity. I'd been serving as a vice president at this institution. And through that process, we really fell in love with Friends University and the area. And we felt like God was calling us to this place for a season. The season's been longer than we anticipated at the time, but we're grateful for the journey that we've had at Friends University. Friends, this year, we have our second highest enrollment in our traditional population ever for the institution. So kind of wonderful and amazing, especially when we're seeing other college and universities struggle and decline at this time. So we're very grateful for that. And we have also, in addition to our traditional students, about another 800 adult students in our degree completion, master's, and doctoral program. And so it's a vibrant campus. We're very full in our housing, which is a great problem to have. Had to put some extra beds in some spots this year. So we are in the season of growth and maturity and excellence, and it's been an amazing 10 years to see all of that transpire. You mentioned Wichita, and yes, we have been working hard to be a partner to a lot of businesses in the area and to provide market demand programs for our area. And so that has helped us with our growth, but also just kind of recognition in the area for what we've been able to accomplish.
Well, congrats for all the success. I know it took a lot of hard work to basically cement and grow a historical university. Now, we really want to talk to you because we know Friends has been active in AI. You have the magical intro to artificial intelligence. You're doing some work around there as far as educating prospective and current students around AI. So I'll start with this question, which is, how do you perceive the impact of AI on the future workforce over the next 5 years?
Well, I think it's changing rapidly, and we're seeing that in so many fields. I was just reading an article the other day about all these students who have gone into computer engineering and thought they might be doing coding, and now AI can do that work pretty quickly. And even talking with my brother the other day, who's in the technology space, and he was mentioning that, you know, his background is not in coding in some of these areas, and he was able to create apps pretty quickly using AI. So I think we're seeing this not only in the technical area, but in writing, in even putting together a grant request for a solicitation from, you know, all spectrums. We're seeing AI have a significant impact, but it's also a lot to take in. It can be confusing at times. What tools do we use? And then what about the security of information? So we have a lot of conversations that, you know, are going on right now, and I imagine are across, you know, all college and universities as we think through the impact.
And what do you think we need to do to equip and educate students for careers that are changing? They may not exist. They're evolving in front of our eyes today.
Yes, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, we need to understand, you know, how the tool works. What can we do with all of this newfound AI resource, and then integrate that into our classroom and have students utilizing the technology. And so this year, and I'm really pleased with our faculty, but our faculty retreat was completely about AI and involving AI in the learning situation. And so they were being trained and also had the opportunity to create I think it was a bot and different things. And so they were able to create some things on the spot together as a group. And so I think giving those tools to our faculty to help them integrate that is really, really important. And I would say we're just getting started with the learning that our faculty has to work on and get up to speed.
Often as we look at, the synergy between higher education and industry, going back to land grant days, as far as introducing universities, industrial revolution, even after World War II, the GI Bill, higher education has been the recalibrating institution as far as really upscaling the workforce. So as you think ahead, are you thinking about implementing strategies to recalibrate, upscale the workforce and make students, AI career ready?
Well, I think those discussions are ongoing right now with our faculty. And what does that look like? How does that work? I think there'll always be a need for creative problem solvers, right? I mean, so there's the aspect of technology, and then, how do people interface with that? I think there's also the ethical aspect of that, of AI, and how we manage the ethical and security aspects. And so all of those discussions are ongoing, and I wouldn't say that we have a clear path or a clear plan for that. I would mention this, and then I know a lot of schools are putting in a degree program for AI. And I think that's important, and something that we'll see more and more. College universities are going to have an AI degree. But I feel like it's something that needs to be included in all of our majors. We're going to need to have students aware of the impact across the university. And so while I think a degree is helpful, and important and something to consider, it's probably more widespread than that.
And in Kansas, obviously, when you look at careers in Kansas, you got agriculture and food production, you got advanced manufacturing, aerospace, you got defense and military. Obviously, we know, that Walmart, places like Walmart and Kroger and Amazon, they have a lot of employees in Kansas today. So you mentioned coders being replaced or displaced. What other jobs do you think, as you think about Kansas and the surrounding cities, do you think might get disrupted as a result of AI?
I don't know that I have the answer for all of that, but we're also a manufacturing town. Wichita is very much a manufacturing town. So to the extent that some of these problems can be solved by AI, I think there's a factor for that. But also we really rely on the manufacturing in the aerospace industry in Wichita. Farming, of course, around the state of Kansas is very, very important. And then engineering. So we have an engineering program, also have a cybersecurity program. And I would anticipate that those fields would be greatly impacted through AI technology. And so those will be some of the areas in which we need to explore. Koch Industries, Spirit Aerosystems, Textrons, those are some of the big companies. And one of the executives of Koch is on our board of trustees, and he mentioned in our last meeting the importance of AI and how students need to be engaging with their company and other companies as they're exploring more and more AI technology.
It's interesting you bring that up. Are you finding within the board of trustees there's more discussions around AI literacy, and AI adoption, not just in terms of jobs, but also in terms of how you manage a university?
Absolutely, they're asking those questions, and what are we as the leaders, as the cabinet leaders, doing to make sure, one, we're safe and secure. And so we just had a policy that we finalized and made sure that our faculty and staff were aware, because whatever you're uploading, and it could be sensitive information, it could be student information, that becomes a property of ChatGPT or whoever we might be using for these technologies. And so we need to be mindful of that as well. And that, pictures, all kinds of things now becomes a part of this massive network of data. And so I think those are some of the things that we've been discussing and putting policies in place, academic policies as well. But also, how are we going to effectively utilize AI? And, the other thing that's happened to all of us is all of a sudden an AI note taker comes on the screen of a Zoom meeting, and this might be a confidential meeting and people don't notice. And, so there's a variety of things that people need to be thinking about, paying attention to, all that's happening. But those are very handy tools, right? To have someone summarize the meeting and take those notes without needing a note taker there.
Definitely post chat, GPT, AI is consumerized, right? So it's more accessible to more people. I mean, AI has been around for a long time, but now, it's kind of like computers. They're on big mainframes before Apple computer was on our desktop. And so I think the access to data at every level, you don't even have to be a computer expert. You could train anyone to type something in ChatGPT in 2 seconds. And a lot of people will use that as facts now, right? So very often say, oh, I did my research. Okay, great, right? So the point here is, and it's a great tool, I think us as researchers use it as well. But there's also the question of barriers. I mean, we have, as you mentioned, privacy laws, FERPA, HIPAA, SEC, all of these regulations. Are you concerned on how we're going to navigate, all of these regulations and governance with AI in the mix of it, and what is going to look like at the end of all this?
Yes, I'm very concerned, and I don't think we've figured all of this out yet. How we will regulate based on, the various, FERPA, HIPAA, all the things that you've just mentioned. And so I think that's still in process, and people are trying to, figure this out and to make sure that we are being compliant and providing tools that people want, that want to access. And we have more and more of our faculty and staff wanting to access these tools, and that's great. And it saves them time. In marketing, this is, a big part of how marketing departments are utilizing these tools. We now have a number of personas that we've developed, and they're all AI generated. So we can interact with these personas as we're putting together our marketing plans and messages, and these are handy tools. Everybody wants to access these tools, and how do we make sure that we're being compliant with all the various regulations? I don't think all of that has been established well yet. So more to come there.
Well, I mean, you look at TikTok and you look at social networks. Now it's about 2 decades we're into this. I don't think we've got our arms around that yet, because as of a few months ago, TikTok was going to go off the grid. And the question here is, one is domestic regulation. The other one is we're seeing more and more tools by other countries, including China. Those are international regulation. And if you were to use DeepSeek and some of these other tools, well, guess what? TikTok is going to be a toddler compared to the access to data those AI infrastructures are going to have. So it's moving so fast, President Carey. I think there's cause to pause at some point, but we can't.
Yes, it's moving very fast. And I was at a seminar recently and learned that if you want to find out something about Friends University and you put that into your that question into GPT or ChatGPT, or even just a Google search now, AI is really controlling what you're going to learn about Friends University, and the things that are going to come up are recent news stories, and that's going to all be filtered together. So if you have some negative news stories, that's not going to fare well for you in how people search for you. So it's changing how all of this is searchable. And we've talked about Google Analytics for a long time, trying to get your name up to the top of the list, and all of that is changing rapidly as well. So just so much is happening quickly, as you mentioned.
Are you thinking about adding any academic programs or modifying it, retiring it? Any discussions at Friends around academic?
We haven't made that determination. And in that way, I think we may not be an early adopter into this space, just because of how it's changing rapidly. And then also finding the resources, the people resources to come and support a program like that. And so, we're in an area where some of the state schools can do that better, cheaper, faster. And so I think we're going to have to evaluate that very carefully to find professors, people teaching in this space, could be more challenging for a place like Friends University. And, we're in a space in Wichita where, with the state schools around us, they could do this better, cheaper, faster. And so the cost of trying to put a program like this together, mostly with the people resources, to find people to lead this, I think could be challenging for a place like Friends University. So I don't think we will be a leader in this area. We'll be kind of evaluating some next steps and see what happens around us.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a concept as companies, they used to say, we don't want to be on the bleeding edge of this, right? Just to see what happens in the industry and adopt. How about the higher education process, like accreditation? That's already been discussed, how accreditation might change. Also, do we need 4 years for a bachelor's degree? Do we need more years actually because of AI? Do we need less years? Do you think any of that might change as a result of this?
That's interesting. I have not engaged in those kinds of discussions or conversations as of yet. I know that there is some discussion around the 3-year degree. Will accrediting bodies move towards 3-year degree options? And I don't think that's been settled in any way. So I don't know, but I mean, I think this is something that community college 2-year, maybe even certificate programs will pop up in terms of AI certificates. I would think that would be very popular.
Now, as you think here, and now I think, Friends, from what I read, you're very involved with local high schools and obviously some community colleges. Before they come to Friends, there's another K-12. So how do you think, schools should be thinking about AI as they prepare their kids before they actually come to you as a freshman year?
Well, I know that when we started cybersecurity, and we did that as the first college in Wichita and the first private institution in Kansas to start cybersecurity, it was, something was being discussed in Wichita. A new company had come into town, Nova Coast, and we were able to be a part of that draw for the company to come and be a part of the Wichita community. But it was interesting because it was harder than you might think to get high school students interested in a cybersecurity degree. And I think in part because it's not something that they have really heard a lot about. It was new, it was coming forward, but it wasn't like, my mom's a nurse, my dad's an engineer. I know a little bit about those careers, not quite sure about cybersecurity. And so it took us a while to build that program. And now we do have a critical mass of students in cybersecurity, but it took some time. And I wonder if AI will be the same, or, if they want a full degree in AI, or if they're looking at this as, I want a business degree, but I've got to know a lot about AI as well. So how will they incorporate AI technology into my business program? So I think that remains to be seen. I'm not familiar with the K-12 system in the Wichita area focusing on it as of yet, but I'm sure some are in that space of conversation and development.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of buzz around the infusion of AI into various pedagogy and curriculum and how it's being used. So, for example, in K-12 is, rather than focusing on essay writing, a teacher might focus on deeper conversations about multiple novels, and it's just getting expanded. In business, we're seeing a lot more AI tools being used as far as AI literacy and having access to better decision-making tools. So the AI infusion of it is going to be critical, especially in healthcare. We're seeing more and more discussion around that. I guess the question that I always ask our guests is the run rate. This is like nothing else we've seen. I mean, this is faster than internet, faster than, definitely industrial revolution, automation, anything you could think of. I mean, 5 years seems like an eternity. So do we have enough run rate to, educate the workforce, create new jobs as we displace many, many functions out there? What's your thought around that?
Well, and higher education tends to move quite slowly. So that can be difficult, as we're trying to contemplate, should we have a full degree? How do we implement this into our different degree programs? And how do we provide enough resources for our faculty so that they can provide those resources for students? So, higher education moves slowly, and you're right, this is going at warp speed. So that will be a challenge for higher education, I think. And that's why I think you'll see certificate programs, things coming through business and industry that will, provide a lot of this education and the tools and the opportunities for people. So I don't know. I think there's a dark side to all of this as well. And, I've been in sessions and seminars where you've seen someone, a president or someone speaking in another language they don't speak, doing a whole speech that they've never delivered or given. And so there's that whole deep fake side to AI and how quickly that is moving as well. So now you're saying, is this real? I don't know if this is real or not. So there's a lot. I feel like there's just a lot of questions yet that need to be answered. And in higher education, we're working on so many levels at one time. I always say that I run a small city as a small private institution because you've got housing, you've got living, you've got security, you've got athletics, you've got fine arts, you've got the academic aspects, and there's so much happening at one time in a university that this is just one of the many things that we are trying to manage each and every day, each and every week. So it will be interesting to see how we all handle it and get on board and also put in the guardrails that we need.
Any last word for our listeners who are learning for the first time about Friends University? What would you like to tell them?
Well, I think I would like to tell them that we've had wonderful momentum at Friends University and just feel very blessed to be heading into an exciting year. And that I think part of that is that people want the traditional values, the faith-infused opportunities that we give our students. And I see more and more students are looking for a hopeful future. And we believe that we can provide that aspect at Friends University.
President Carey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the College Admission TV Presidential Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll bring you another insightful conversation with a distinguished leader in higher education.